was actually a porn star found my Instagram and she was like, can you make me grills as well? No one wants to buy cheap jewelry and no one wants to say I spent money on cheap jewelry. They want to say I spent 50 grand on my grills. You need your like 10,000, 5,000, 10,000 really good loyal fans and you have an amazing brand and business.
Hey, it's Nathan Bush, or Bushy, joining you from the land of the Turrbal people here in Brisbane, Australia. Welcome back to Add to Cart. Today's episode is one of the most unique e-commerce stories we've ever told. When the idea for today's guest came across my desk, I was so intrigued. I could not say no. I had to know how this business works. What I didn't expect out of today's guest was how to build a business without search volume, ads, even traditional e-commerce playbooks. Most of what today's guest has been custom and learnt and built organically without the reliance on the normal playbook that we would have in e-commerce. So, without further ado, today's guest is Dr. Maheer Shah. He is a qualified dentist and also the founder of Dr. Grillz. That's right, grills, as in the things that you see in rappers' teeth, the metal, the jewelry, the shining things. He actually sells these online. And he's built a premium custom grills business, which sits at the intersection of dentistry, jewelry, culture, and commerce, with average orders of around $700 and reaching a wide range of people from rappers to porn stars to kids who just want to look cool. It's a fascinating business, but it goes a lot deeper than just being an Instagram fad, and that's what I found fascinating today. Now, if grills aren't your thing, and honestly, I don't understand why they're not, if you are just interested in e-commerce, you are going to get so much out of this still because Maheer talks about how to create demand when customers aren't actually looking for what you sell. He's doing something that most people don't even know exist, but kind of want. How to turn trust and credibility. He's a dentist, and how to use that as a conversion lever, and how to approach things from a system-first perspective while delivering a really personal customer experience. Dr. Maheer Shah really surprised me with the depth of experience that he's looking to give his customers in not just giving them something shiny to put on their teeth, but to make sure that their whole mouth health is in good working order. All right, before we get into today's episode, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Shopify and Klaviyo, who are back on board for 2026. Thank you very much. Sponsoring Add to Cart. We love your support and appreciate having you on board. We couldn't think of two better technology partners to have in e-commerce. All right, let's get into it. Here is our conversation with Dr. Maheer Shah, founder of Dr. Grillz. Dr. Maheer Shah, welcome to Add to Cart.
Thanks for having me, Nathan.
Oh, absolute pleasure. I am so pumped. When I saw your story come through from our producers and I had a look at your website, I was like, holy moly, we've never had someone like you on the show before. So I've got 1,000 questions for you about what you're building with Dr. Grillz. But if I was to say to you at the start, you are a qualified dentist, now running an e-commerce business as well as your dental practice, which is called Dr. Grillz, the e-commerce business. Tell me about how those worlds came together. How are you managing dentistry and e-commerce at the same time?
It's a great question. So the beauty of what Dr. Grillz is, it's very organic. It all started really naturally. It was just me, my two best friends. We were on a little tour over Sydney and Melbourne, just following our favorite DJs at the time. And then I actually won backstage passes because we were going to go see them 3 shows in a row. That's because we were going to miss them in Perth. So me and my buddies were like, let's go to Sydney and Melbourne. We watched them for 3 shows.
Who are your DJs? Would we know them?
These guys are called Flostradamus. They're like kind of the fusion between EDM music and hip hop music.
Okay. You're way too cool for me.
Yeah, it was really underground back at the time. Like the first time we saw them was $20 for the gig and it was like one of the best gigs I ever saw. But I won backstage passes to meet them because I was going to see them like for the 3 shows. And then as soon as we walked in, they all had grills in. And then I just graduated from dental school maybe. I was working about 4 months. So I was like, oh my God, where did you guys get these grills? And they're like, dude, this is so hard to find. We had to go to the hood in America to, get these grills. And then, the whole show, that last show, I was just kind of like sitting in my mind, like, I can't believe these are so hard to find. And then we had a little kick on, a little after party with my buddies. And I was sitting there and I was like, I think I should get into making grills. And both of them were like, if you can do that, I'm going to buy them straight away. And one of my friends, his Instagram handle's Perth White Boy, literally Perth White Boy. And he borrowed, he scrounged all his money from his parents to buy, he was my first customer. So then I just took a few photos of the boys, took a few photos of the Grillz, made a little, and the name Dr. Grillz just like fell into my lap that night. They were just like, you should be Dr. Grillz. You're the man for it. So I just started an Instagram and I just put pictures of this up, and that was it. I didn't know anything about business. I'd only just done dental school. So like I was a certified nerd, but that was about it. Right. And I was good at getting good grades in high school. But again, like I always found business came very naturally to me. I don't know if it's like an Indian thing. I know my surname Shah means trader in like in Sanskrit. And it's like, we've had that name for 1,000 years. So basically my ancestors have just been traders.
And Maheer obviously means grills, right? So grills trader.
Maheer actually means expert. So expert.
Expert trader.
Yeah, expert trader. So that's my name. So I just had to give it a crack. And then I started this Instagram, didn't know anything about marketing, didn't know anything about sales, operations, all these things. And then some people, he was actually a porn star, found my Instagram and she was like, can you make me grills as well? And then that's when the journey whole started. So it was super organic, super natural, not forced. And it's just taken me on the ride of a lifetime.
Wild. Oh, I can't wait. I've got so many questions there, especially around your audience and some of the stories that you've had. But I know nothing. You say you know nothing about marketing when you first started. I know nothing about grills. How do they actually work?
So people have been putting gold on their teeth for like 1,000 years. This is not a new thing. Humans have just been obsessed with the idea, and not all humans, some humans, they're putting how do we put a diamond or a gem or some gold on our teeth? It's just like this ultimate status symbol, right? Like a tattoo involves some pain, piercing involves some pain, but to get gold in your teeth, and especially permanently, that is like, you need an artist to do that, but it's some pain involved. Sometimes you destroy the tooth historically to do that. So people have been obsessed about this thing for a while. So the whole point of Grillz was, how can we do this without damaging your teeth? So the whole thing's a removable set. So it's like kind of like a little helmet that will slide on your tooth or a couple of teeth, and then you can wear it when you want. But
okay, so they're removable.
They're removable. That's the whole point. My job's a dentist. Like I don't want to be destroying teeth just to make them look cool. So if we can do Grillz where you just take a mold and then you clip it on when you want, take it off when you don't want it, go to work, that's the perfect solution.
Oh, because I was about to say, you're not wearing Grillz right now. Do you rock them on the weekends?
I do. I love them. Problem is my teeth have shifted a little bit. So all my old sets don't fit anymore. So I need to get some new ones made. But I've got to get onto it, to be honest.
So you talked there around your demographic and obviously your first customers there being musicians and porn stars. How do you describe who your target market is today?
I've done a couple of business courses since I've started, and that was always the first question. Identify your perfect ideal customer, right? Once you figure out your ideal or your typical customer, then you can build your whole brand around that. But that was the challenge I always had, was I had such a mixed bag of people that would come find me. I get, guys in their 50s and 60s. I've had ladies in their 50s and 60s who are like, my whole dream has always had to have one gold tooth, and now I can finally get it. And then obviously I get the young guys, I get the SoundCloud rappers, I get just the biggest mixed bag. So I find the best way to distill it is, it's like a psychographic thing. It's like, what is the psychology behind these kind of people fundamentally? Which is boldness, self-expression, good sense of self-identity, self-image. They're willing to be different. That's the thing they all had in common.
Is there a little bit of that they do want that look and they want that self-identity, but they also want a little bit of safety in terms of that's why they would come to you as a professional dentist rather than go to a backyard operation?
Exactly. Yeah, that was usually the first thing they'll say, because I'll ask, where did you find me? And they said, I found your page online and I like that you're a dentist, so that's why I've chosen to go with you. That was very commonly, that's what I heard.
And how do you maintain that trust? Because I could imagine trust is really key here with you at the forefront of this as a dentist, but also trying to keep the coolness of Dr. Grillz. You know what I mean? Like there's almost two things going here. Is like the dentist is the person that you usually go to as the sensible option. You're always like maintaining your teeth. It's the long-term thing. Whereas Grillz, they're fun, they're flashy. How do you transfer your credibility as a dentist into the coolness of Dr. Grillz?
So depending on who it is, like number one, as a dentist, I make sure I'm up to date with all my training. Like I've taken on a lot of training after university. I've spent twice as much as I did in university, after university, on courses on, veneers, smile makeovers, how to build new bites, full mouth reconstruction, like done a lot of courses. But the coolness, I think, that has to come from something authentic. And like, I really feel this brand is authentically me. And that is the feedback my closest friends say, like, this is just you. This is what you're about. You've been obsessed with music since I met you. You're into hip hop. You're just like that character. So I find that comes naturally for me because this is like my passion. Like, it really is my passion. And it's also, I'm such a blessing to kind of be given this brand and be able to take it somewhere. Like, I think it's the coolest thing in the world, putting gold in your teeth.
What's the weirdest request that you've had so far?
One always pops to mind when someone asks me that. I had a heavy metal drummer. I think he was from Tasmania, and he sent me a sketch, and all he wanted was black grills with the 1-inch spike that came out of each tooth. And he drew
every tooth.
And I still don't know how he worked because I never got a picture. I never met him. His manager did all the correspondence. So he had literally like a 1-inch spike coming out of each of his 10 teeth. We did 10 teeth on each piece. And it was so hard to cast because to make it all in one unit, you can imagine things just get thin, they can chip, they break, they warp. So we ended up having to 3D print it with a lab in New Zealand. And then they sent it back for us to finish. That was a mission. But yeah, I'd say that was the coolest one. And we've done a couple of other crazy design, but nothing came compared to that, I'd say.
And do your clients normally come back to you with the after pictures? Because I could imagine there's a lot that goes into it when you're designing and you're building these and you're like, I just want to see them on the person because it's the grills that's attached to the person that really makes them come to life. Does that happen naturally?
Not as much as I would like. I would hound them. I'll say, I'll give you a discount. I'll give you a voucher if you can just send me a picture in. Once a lot of people get their grills, they just, they vanish. And that's why I'm trying to do as much in-house as I can. So when they have their fitting, the day of their fitting, we try to make it an experience. Maybe whiten their teeth before they get their grills fit in. We take a bunch of pictures. Like, I want to make that a big deal because that's where all my best content will come from, which is my best marketing. And also it's the best part of the sales journey or their customer experiences. Their grills are so non-functional, right? So it's all about the emotion behind them and how it makes you feel and the build up. And they've had to wait for a couple of weeks, whereas most other jewelry you just buy online or you buy at the jewelry shop and you leave. This is some patience involved. So the build up is really intense. That's the whole reason I would love to have a shop one day, is to capture that moment. Because once the grills go in, you want to see the transformation. That's kind of what it's about as well. It's about creating that transformation within someone of like a zero to hero, where you put the gold teeth in and the way you feel about yourself really transforms.
It must be hard because there'd be so much word of mouth and talkability when that moment comes. So if you've got a friend who rocks up and they've suddenly got grills, you're like, holy shit, that's really cool. Like, and you'd want to know the story of why and how and who did it. And all of that would happen a lot of the time without you even being part of the conversation, which makes it hard for you, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And now I'm finding work where, my reputation's kind of getting out there and someone says, I heard about you. They book in straight away. And then they're like, I just don't care how much I have to pay. I just want to get it done, which is good as well because I'm not having to be involved in the sales experience. But there's some moments like you mentioned where you'd love to just capture what's going on there.
So talk me through the process, because from what I can see, and you mentioned there, that really involved process, your website is a WordPress website at the moment?
At the moment, we're doing a complete rebuild of the website, which has taken forever, but it's nearly ready. There's a lot more features we're adding to it.
What are you moving to?
So it's still going to be based on WordPress, but we're going to change our custom builder into a 3D custom builder with augmented reality as well. So it'll be a QR code, you scan the QR code, and then whatever you've designed will pop up on your teeth through like a selfie camera thing. So that's just part of the experience. But really, this is what I've had done wrong for so long, was I tried to have all my options on the website and there's so much customization and it was a bit overwhelming. Whereas really what I need to do is just get you in for a discovery call, find out your needs, and then start the process there. And then you'll end up whatever you wanted anyway, but it's much smoother journey for the customer, right? Step one, just get in touch. Let's have a call. Let's chat. Let's figure out your budget. Let's figure out what you like to wear, what options you're after. And then we craft it for you. And I think that's the secret sauce for me.
So you've still got a custom website, and it sounds like it's still going to be fairly custom on WordPress with some cool features. And then are you getting customers that actually transact on the website, or is it all manual call and build?
Yeah, so I'd say 50-50. So we do get quite a bit coming online. Now there's a lot more competitors over East, so I find my online sales might have come down a little bit, but my local sales are like tripled. maybe quadrupled. So I want to grow that online sales because obviously it's a lot easier where it's nice where you just open your phone and the orders come through. Person's gone through that journey by themselves. They know exactly what they want. They bought it and then you just have to do it. But then also you lose the connection. And a lot of what I do is cosmetic dentistry, high-end dentistry, like aligners, veneers. So it'd be nice to offer those options as well and then tailor like a whole package. Let's get your whole mouth clean. Let's get your whole mouth healthy. Straighten your teeth if you want. Then the grills are like the little final touch, like sort of the cherry on top at the end. That's the way I see the ultimate customer journey for me. And with everything that I can offer and everything I've trained in is how do we look after you as a person, not just make a quick grill and quick sale, is actually get a lot more lifetime value out of each of our customers as well.
That makes sense. And there's no point just putting grills over bad teeth because that's not cool.
Yeah, exactly. Not cool. It doesn't last. And it goes against one of our values, which is to be healthy. We work in healthy mouths. So the grills last.
Yeah. On the order from the website Grillz, how do you manage fitment for people who are just going in to buy something off the shelf from a Grillz perspective? Most people, I could imagine, don't know fitment for the mouth. How does that work?
So this is the system I kind of built. This would have been around COVID time when I couldn't take any more sales. So once they make their order, they get sent a custom, like a little kit, and it's got a QR code built into the box. So you scan that QR code, takes you to a video that shows you step by step on how to do the fitting, and has all the ingredients you need. It's got the putty, the gloves, and a return satchel as well. And then they mix the putty, they take a mold. Once they've done the mold, they'll send a photo to us and then we can verify it. And if they mess it up, I just send them some extra putty. But I don't know what's happened in the last couple of years, but the kids have just become like mini dentists and the quality of the molds they're doing are just amazing. Like I haven't had to send that second round of putty. I can't tell you in like a couple of years because they're just nailing it. And like, I don't know, maybe the video is really good or they're watching online, but the kids are just nailing it. And it's blowing my mind a little bit because it took me so long to learn how to do a good mold, but I get these molds back and they're like pristine. So I get a photo of the mold or a video. I say, give them a thumbs up. It's all good. And then it comes back express post to me, usually a couple of nights. And yeah, so it's this really nice streamlined system. Obviously, a lot of people that hate that idea. So I say, just take that kit to your dentist and then their dentist can do it as well, which is again, ideal option because they'll get their teeth clean, checked, and then the dentist just does the mold. So you get a little mixed bag, but I'm finding, most of them are just nailing it. And so they take a mold themselves, chuck in this return satchel, drop it at the post office, and usually within a week, it's all done.
And are they selecting what jewelry they want on their grills, or is it kind of a predetermined options for them to pick from?
There's both. We've got some pre-designed options, which are like, the really popular ones, some canines or a double or a little open face with a heart, whatever. Those are like, I'd say the top 20 or 30 that are really popular. They're all available in the shop. So you just know, I want that one, I can buy it. But then there's also the customization ability where you want to have chop and change a couple of teeth here, a couple of teeth there, or a bigger piece, then that's available as well. And then if they have even crazier ideas, I literally can go off a sketch. So they can just send me a sketch. And then we've got some crazy ones where they've got like little Spider-Man logos and all that kind of stuff. So that becomes like a computer assisted design sort of one. So that's where they pay a deposit for, I think it was like $250. And then we can literally 3D render whatever they want. And they can even pick different metals in that 3D render and different colored stones. And my jeweler will send me that 3D render. I can send it to them. They confirm, okay, this is what I want. I want to change this, And once they give us a thumbs up, then it gets made. And then once we've done that 3D render, we can also work out how much alloy we need, how many stones we need. And that gives us a better idea of the costing as well.
What kind of price point are you talking? Because I could imagine on the upper side, you could go as far or as high as you wanted to. What's the usual entry point?
So according to my Stripe, my average sale is about $770. So that usually would cover 2 to 3 teeth in gold, or in silver, that's maybe like 4 or 5 teeth. Chrome, I'd say, it's a couple of teeth as well. That's usually an entry point. And then when you start adding more customization or diamonds, especially, diamonds for a full diamond tooth, it's about $2,000 for a removable one. So if someone came in and they want like 5 or 6 diamond teeth or 10 diamond teeth, that's when those costs really go up. And I found, because I used to always chase, especially in my early days, I was like, people just want to, you want to compete on cost. But actually, found that worse for my business because no one wants to buy cheap jewelry and no one wants to say I spent money on cheap jewelry. They want to say I spent $50,000 on my grills. It's same as your teeth, right? I found people who got their teeth done, it wasn't about even the teeth. It was about saying I spent $50,000 on my teeth.
Yes.
So there's a psychology aspect to it where I just have to just to put, like, I guess, demonstrate that value really. But a lot of people, they know that, you know, I want to, the rap songs all say it, right? To spend 20 grand at Eliante or Johnny Dang or whatever.
It's a status symbol.
It is status symbol completely, yeah.
And you're a really key part of that, right? Because as you're talking, I'm like, it's a lot like tattoo artists, obviously very different applications, but in terms of people have so much pride in saying, I've got a tattoo guy. And it's like, you are part of that story. And it's a very emotional thing, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I have a few guys like that. They come in and, you know, you're just the guy. And then they just like to show their friends, oh, I spent this much money here.
I think that's a really interesting angle from a kid perspective. Not that we'll go down this path a lot, but I'm just thinking about my son. He's 11, going on 20, loves rap, loves all that world. And I could imagine that if I said to him, hey, you know, you can get grills and they're not permanent. You'd have to save your ass off to get them, but they're there. I could imagine how excited he would be at the prospect when he's 16, 17 of getting them. Do you have a lot of kids at that age coming
I
through?
wouldn't say a lot. I usually try convince them to say, look, jaws are going to grow, your teeth are going to shift. This is just not going to fit after a while. I've had I can think of 3 that have come in. One came in with his dad. I think he's trying to drop like $1,500 on a full set of chrome grills. And even I was like, dude, I think you should spend this money on a car or something. Like, I think it's going to help you a bit better. And yeah, but they just, you know, it's in their mind. It's been in their mind for months. Like, who am I to tell them no? So
That's
I tried to leverage as a way to, okay, you're at the dentist now. Look, you've got these dental problems. Like, you got to keep this clean. And it's a good little angle for young people to start getting I think dentistry is a bit cool, and keep looking after your teeth becomes a bit cooler. Keeping your teeth clean becomes a bit cooler. So I like it in that point of view. I'd love to push the young kids side in that way of promoting hygiene, promoting dental health as well.
Yeah. If you want girls, the best way is to clean your teeth, not get grills.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I need to promote that much more. Definitely. That stuff works.
And so from an e-commerce perspective, you mentioned the WordPress, and it strikes me that a lot of what you've built, you've iterated over the way, and you talked about a systems approach where you've built systems. What's been your biggest challenge in making Grillz a sustainable e-commerce business?
I actually say the biggest challenge is me. I don't know if it's my preconceived notions or me listening to what other people say and everyone going, is there really a market for Grillz? Is there really a market for Grillz? And I'm making heaps of sales and, you know, people are booking in, I'm getting contacts. I'm like, okay, obviously there's a need. But sometimes even in my head, I'm still like, I don't know if this is going to really, the thing is just like a little hobby thing, but it's not. You know, you don't need 1 million customers. You need your like 10,000, 5,000, 10,000 really good, loyal fans, and you have an amazing brand and business, and you don't have to sell to everyone. I'd say that would be one of my biggest problems. And the second one is just running out of time. Like, if my dentistry is cranking, I find Dr. Grillz comes sort of second. And now I'm kind of flipping it and realizing, no, Dr. Grillz is actually my biggest passion, and I got to build everything around that.
And what's stopping you from scaling it, apart from time?
Yeah, right now, the way I've structured it, everything's kind of separate. So my dentistry is really separate. My Dr. Grillz is separate. But the problem is Dr. Grillz generates a lot of my dentistry work now, and it's not filtering back into my Dr. Grillz business. So that's why we're going to restructure the whole thing, that I'm going to just become an employee of Dr. Grillz and then everything goes to Dr. Grillz. That's probably been the biggest bottleneck because the funds that Dr. Grillz are earning isn't been coming back to Dr. Grillz. So once that happens and it's all filtering in, then
you'll get a clearer P&L and you'll be able to reinvest and
reinvest, get some finance, get a proper shop going. And I think having a brick and mortar shop is really the big next step for me now.
That's cool. So would you have it separate to the dentistry, or just purely a Dr. Grillz experience?
Yeah, no, I want to mix it all together. I want to turn dentistry on its head. Because the other big problem was no one really wants to go to the dentist to get Grillz. Like all the rap songs are about, you go to the jewelry store. You go to the jewelry store, you get your teeth iced out, you get your chains, whatever. That's the experience. That's what's baked into the culture. And so it has to be that, where you're going to a jewelry shop, but then the tech and the tools are all there for the dentistry to happen. That's, I think, going to really put me on the map and just create the most incredible customer journey as well.
What do your dentistry friends or colleagues think about your Grillz offshoot?
I'd have to say almost every one of my bosses at the start would be like, yeah, you can do your Grillz here. It's fine. You know, they don't think it's, much. And then they see how many people start coming through and the dollars they start coming through. And I think every single one of my bosses had a problem with it over the years. Like, I remember my first boss, yeah, he was really against it. He's like, this is not dentistry. This is just like some fad, da, 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 da. And most of my colleagues, like I'd say the ones that are my friends, yeah, they think it's cool. But again, dentists are a weird bunch. Like, I don't know what it is about dentistry. It just attracts this weird type of nerdy person. And I even had a dental practice, which I sold mid last year. And the whole premise was that we were going to do the business. And he's like, I want to bring you on because you can bring in lots of clients. And then we still had a disagreement and he just wanted it gone after a while. So I've just found it just really clashes with the dentist brain. I guess maybe it's not functional, but it's just a different aesthetic. Like some people want super white teeth and some people want gold. And there's no right or wrong. I just love it. I just think it looks really cool. And I just want to do it in a way that's not going to destroy their teeth. I can do very minimal reduction of the teeth. I can drill away 0.3 millimeters. So you can go really fine with this stuff. There is a safe way to do it. And that's kind of my philosophy. But I'd say the general dentist community doesn't like it, but there is probably 2%, 5% of them that do get around it. And those are like usually my friends.
Yeah. I could just imagine if I took that putty into my dentist and said, hey, can you just frame my teeth up so that I can get some grills? I would just get some weird looks.
Yeah. A lot just flat out say no. They just
Really?
say we won't do it. And then it's just a headache. Like it doesn't cost them anything, doesn't do anything, but yeah.
What happens when 87 stores, one Shopify site, and a whole lot of disconnected data walk into a CRM? There's unfortunately no funny punchline here. For Intersport, it meant missed sales, slow reports, and a lot of guesswork. Each store had its own data, none of it talked. Enter Klaviyo. They helped unify it all, online and in-store, so that Intersport could finally track behavior, personalize offers, and hit the right customer at the right time. The result was one that any cranky sports coach would be proud of. CRM-driven online sales were up nearly 5 times, and there was a 350% increase in returning customer rate. To learn how Klaviyo helps multi-store brands like Intersport grow smarter, visit klaviyo.com/au.
Tell me about 3D printing, because it sounds like you've gone deep down this rabbit hole. And I'm really curious because, if you talk about the trough of disillusionment, we might be in that point at the moment around 3D printing where, people were getting 3D printers for their home and it was like playing around and making odd bits and pieces and desk ornaments and stuff, but it's never really gone anywhere from a consumer perspective. How have you discovered the best way to use 3D printing in your business?
So 3D printing is probably, I would say, the biggest revolution in dentistry in the last 50 years. Because what it allows us is, the problem with dentistry, we've got 2 ways of fixing teeth. We've got one way, which I fix it in your mouth, and you got to sculpt it all in your mouth, but then you got to stay with your mouth open. So if I'm trying to fix your whole mouth or a lot of teeth, you're going to have to be in the chair for like 4 hours with your mouth open. And the other problem is trying to sculpt a perfect tooth with your hand. Very difficult. And then the third problem is the material that we use, the plastic. Every time you set it with the light, it shrinks a little bit and shrinks a little bit. So it puts little gaps in, it puts a lot of stress on the tooth that can break the tooth later on. So that's like all the downsides. And then we've only got that option or the top option, which is like porcelain or gold, which is, very expensive, very slow to do, usually takes a couple of weeks. So there's nothing kind of in between. And 3D printing has just completely solved the middle option where I can just clean the tooth, I scan it, I digitally design whatever needs to, whatever's missing, and then I can just 3D print it out. But I can 3D print out 20 restorations at the same time in about less than half an hour.
And where are you doing that? Are you doing that in practice?
I'm doing that in practice. So my typical day with that would be my patient comes in the morning, we numb them, we clean out all the decay, the bad stuff. We just shape their teeth. A lot of the front teeth, like veneers, we can do without any reduction of the teeth. So we can do it with no drilling at all. And then we 3D print them out. The beauty of 3D printing is we can go so thin. So we can go 1/20th of a millimeter is how much the layers are built in. So that's how thin we can go. Whereas with porcelain, for the strength, you need some thickness. So the thickness comes from drilling the tooth back.
Okay.
So it solves that problem as well. But it's much stronger and all the shrinkage is happening outside of the person's mouth. So we don't have those problems. And then they come back in the afternoon and then I just stick everything in and you can pretty much fix a whole mouth in a day, which is
That's wild.
Amazing and such a good way for me to practice. If I have one patient for the whole day that I'm just focused on that one person and they're in the chair for like 2 to 3 hours, That's like the most ultimate patient journey. The material is much better and it's cost effective as well. So the efficiency savings I pass down to my patient. That's why I'm so passionate about it.
Taking that into Grillz, has it allowed you to be more creative as well?
And that's what's coming right now. So Grillz, what we'll do is we can do like the CAD design and, then we make that 3D render and then I can 3D print that out before we commit to the metal part and the diamonds and all that. And then try it in their mouth. So we get we can do a lot of trial versions like that. My assistant's he's obsessed with Grillz. So he really wants to learn how to do the digital designing. So that's what he's learning right now. But it's mostly for, the trial versions at the moment. Eventually, when we do our own casting, then we can 3D print that actual pattern and cast whatever we've designed on the computer. It's in the pipeline. And now there's also ways to plate gold onto these 3D printed resins. So you can do trials or you can do like really cheap temporary grills, which have just got like a little dip on them. So if someone says, hey, I want something for a night and I don't want to spend lots of money, maybe we could 3D print something, gold plate it, and it's very cost effective. And then if they lose it by the end of the day,
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wild. And it kind of goes against, it's like that fake status then, isn't it? It's like, how can you just be it for a little while and show up and have that talkability? I can imagine then that makes returns and refunds almost out of the picture for you.
Yeah, it does make it very difficult. I do always offer what we call a perfect fit guarantee. So unless that their grills are fitting comfortably, perfectly, and they're not falling out, and then they're really happy, and then I'm happy. But I've had maybe 2 where we just couldn't get that result, or the way their teeth shaped is just, they've got too much of an undercut. They're just too painful. That's only once I've ever had that. And the other time was, this one girl, and she just we've tried everything and just grills just don't stay on her teeth. So I'm happy to refund then. I'd rather take a happy customer experience and just give them their money back than risk getting a bad review, bad reputation. It's not worth it. There's enough business to go around to be profitable, without having to do that. But like you said, it's all custom made. So that's why I always take all payment up front, even online, because once the process is started, there's no going back at all.
What's the most common objection that you have to get over with new customers?
It's funny because you'd think cost would be, but obviously cost isn't, because they're ready to pay. The way my sales process is built is, I guess, that the objections are handled a bit earlier. So I'd say the biggest objection is actually getting their teeth healthy and saying look, you need to get your teeth cleaned, or you've got to really fix, you've got some serious problems going on. That's, I would say, actually is the biggest objection. They're like, I don't want to deal with that. I don't care. Yes. I just want my gold teeth now. And so I've had to just kind of get a consent form and be like, look, these grills, there's no guarantee how long they're going to last. They might stop fitting. The tooth underneath's compromised. Are you still happy to go ahead? And I have one guy, and he's in what we call terminal dentition. So his teeth are just falling apart. There's infection. They're broken. And he just wanted something to get by. So we made him a grill, and he loves it, and he keeps it in. And now, we've built such a good relationship that the next step will be, and he's kind of planning for, is, okay, now we're going to do the full mouth reconstruction. He's probably going to spend about 60 grand on it, because he needs a new mouth, basically.
Oh.
And so it has been a really good stepping stone that, okay, I got them what they wanted initially. And instead of just being like, nope, I'm not going to do it, they're like, okay, I'll do it, but as long as you know this is what's coming. And then, the problems don't go away. So they do it, the teeth end up breaking, they do get a painful tooth. And then when that grill stops fitting, okay, now we're ready to do the work. So maybe it's just a stepping stone, rather than just trying to force them into this way of no, we have to get your mouth healthy first. I find that sometimes it's good to have these different pathways and be like, okay, your mouth is unhealthy. We'll get you to something to get you by. When things fall apart, we're here for you to help you with the real project.
You're navigating some tricky conversations there, because I can see, obviously with all your training and your education, you're thinking long-term, what can happen, and your customers are coming to you who are excited and they see the outcome, or the outcome that they want. They just want something that sparkles in their mouth.
Exactly.
Hard to get them in that right mindset to have the right conversation.
Yeah, it's definitely my toxic trait is I'm a people pleaser as well. So I just want to be like, yeah, it's all good. We'll make it work, And in my journey, I've learned you have to have that tough conversation early. Definitely with dentistry, you just want to say, yep, no worries. We can do a filling, and then the tooth breaks, and then you're the bad guy, even though you kind of did tell them. So now, I think over 11 years of experience being a dentist, now you learn to be like, okay, we're definitely going to get you to that goal that you have, but we're just going to chip away these little things on the journey there. And then there's just a way to navigate it with communication, and not just being so forceful and just trying to, especially when they come in really headstrong that I want to go down, this is what I want. You kind of have to learn how to steer them into the direction you want rather than pushing too much, because then they just get frustrated or they go to someone else who doesn't care, and then they're in a worse situation 5 years down the line.
Yeah.
We've all been there, right? Slipping on a great looking pair of shoes only to regret it a couple of hours later. Who knew that blisters could get blisters? Well, the founders of Frankie 4 did, and that's why they've created a line of stylish, podiatrist designed footwear that don't just look good, they actually feel good too. But what began as an online success story quickly stepped into the real world, with retail stores opening across the country. And when they moved to the Shopify Plus plan and rolled out Shopify POS in-store, Frankie 4 really hit their stride. Now everything works together, from online browsing to in-store buying. It's one smooth, unified commerce experience for both customers and the Frankie 4 team. And with the Shopify App Store, they're able to test new features quickly to see what works. It's paying off too, with a 170% increase in site visits, a 25% drop in return rates, and more happy feet than ever. Streamlined, stable, seriously stylish. That's Frankie 4 on Shopify. To read more success stories like this, search Shopify case studies online.
I'm interested in the new augmented reality experience that you've got coming up. And I know you've got a little bit of that on the website at the moment, not truly augmented reality, but being able to kind of see how it looks. And I think for most people, like, it'd be interesting. I'd love to know your conversion rate from that experience into actually getting grills. But I can imagine for a lot of people, it would be like being able to test different lip shades or different hair colors or watches even, with no intention to ever buy a Rolex, but they want to know what a Rolex looks like on their hand.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that as being a great marketing tool for you in terms of just social content that people can have to get out there to go, hey, this is what I'd look like if I had this grill set?
That's exactly the reason I wanted to do it. It's not about, it's just for the fun factor of trying to capture those people that are on the fringe that could never see themselves wearing. I would never get a grill. That would never be for me. But now suddenly they can just be, let me just see what it would look like to have my two little teeth here, gold. And it just sort of creates that like gamification thing of, let me just try it. It's like, you're like a little avatar or a sim or whatever, and you get to mess around with that, with them without committing to anything. It's kind of that experience which can start to capture in more people. And I'm still working on this, but trying to build that sort of pipeline to capture all these people. And if maybe I won't convert them to a Grillz client, but maybe I can get their teeth clean. Maybe they want to straighten their teeth. Maybe they've got a wisdom tooth that's hurting. And just trying to create that flow that just captures all these different people. And then we can sort them and take them on their journey, even if they end up with just like a tiny little tooth gem or just some whitening. As I say, it's just to add a sparkle to your smile. And that can be anything from whitening to a diamond implant, like whatever your heart desires, really.
Love it. And in terms of building that out, are you building that from scratch, or is it something off the shelf that you're customizing?
No, definitely customizing. We're trying to build it through Go High Level at the moment. So everything's trying to built into Go High Level, starting with the discovery call as like the step one. And then the rest, I'm still piecing together with some of my marketing friends and some of my business mentors. Like that is the project for this month, actually, is let's rebuild this sales journey and sort of pipeline them into 3 different categories. So like green being mouth's healthy, regular dentist, good to go. Yellow is need some procedures before. You've got some options they want to do first. Maybe they need the clean. Maybe they need some whitening, whatever, got some fillings. And then they're good to go. And then the red category is, okay, now they need serious major work that's going to stop them from getting the grill. And just creating a process that filters them all into one of those 3 pathways. And then having my staff and my support staff as like the next step of, okay, you're in this category. This is your journey now. And that's going to be the secret to scaling this, because it is still healthcare as well. And I still want the first thing to be a good medical history or good dental history. Like, how do we really take care of you as a person, get your health really to up there in the journey of getting you iced out as well.
I love that. So the Grillz is almost like the sign of not status where we were at the start, but it's this, you want it to be the sign of a healthy mouth because you've had everything else taken care of, and it's kind of the cherry on top once everything else is pumping.
And then it should be 10 years of just like your regular maintenance checkups, just, hi, how you doing? Good to see you. But not getting back in the chair to patch something up. Because I've done that my whole career where you've just done this patchy, and it's what you're taught in dental schools, what we call like how to be a single tooth dentist, where you just learn how to fix one tooth really well. But that tooth is in a system and in a person that's in a dynamic environment, and that just only gets you so far. So how do we get away from that patchy sort of style? And okay, maybe there might be a bit more upfront cost, but we can break that over with payment plans or whatever. But just getting all my patients, whether they be Grillz or not Grillz, into just a really stable, healthy mouth that for the next 10 years, we're not getting back in the chair to patch something up unless it's like you've had a big accident. It's just, that's the way dentistry should be. We're in the modern year of dentistry. It shouldn't be that, oh, every 2 years I need to get some maintenance done. If you imagine you had a car, every 2 years you'd have to like get some major reworks done. It's a complete dud. You'd fire your mechanic pretty quickly. So yeah, that's the dream for me as well.
So question for you, Maheer, as a trained qualified dentist who's gone into e-commerce and is somewhat challenging the system or the preconceptions of your industry, what advice would you have for other professionals who might have a background in, say, medical or even trade or other very traditional industries who have these ideas to go, actually, this is how we can come at it from a different angle and we can have a more modern approach? You've been at this game for 10 years. What are some of the key lessons that you think others could learn from as they learn to challenge the industry they're in?
So like you've got these two pathways, right? You've got the conventional pathway where, okay, you're going to make you're not going to displease everyone. No one's going to like you for it, but you're never going to step on any toes, right? But you're probably just going to have a really boring career that's not inspiring. You're not going to get up and wake up every day jumping to get to work. That is what 90% of your colleagues are doing, right? And then there's the other option where you go down your path. You're going to live a very passionate life. You're going to have more problems, more challenges maybe, but you're going to be much more fulfilled. And like either option is not for everyone, right?
Yeah.
So if you really feel you're one of these trades and you're a professional, but you can see a better way of doing things or your own unique style. Like my sister's a physio and she's just like this. And she tried to go, she was like, I'm going to get a job in London in a high-end clinic. And she's so not fulfilled by it. And I think if it's that thing that's sitting in the, your back of your mind before you go to bed, you're always thinking, oh, I could do this way. I could do it this way. I could do it better than my bosses can do it. Just go for it. Even if you're going to be poor for a couple of months or a couple of years and you're still just making through, eventually your style gets out there and word gets out there. And I told her the same thing. It's like the essence of good business is like relationships and innovation. And if you can do those two things and you're innovating, you will be successful. That is just good business. And it's like the fundamentals of good business, whether it be e-commerce, whether it be like old brick and mortar, is just like building relationships, innovating and creating like a workflow that it's your own sort of proprietary. That will never go out of fashion. That is timeless. And I think it's been the best journey a human can go on personally.
And I love that. I love that you've split that out to say, look, there's especially when you study at medical school, I can imagine there's a little bit of that. Well, I've done the hard yards. I've just got to cash in on it now for a while, or you can challenge the status quo. And to me, that seems to be a big part of it is you just got to make that decision. Which path am I on? And then go for it, like rather than being that limbo.
And it's okay to go down your conventional path. That's your normal job. You earn your income, you survive off that. And then you have your other passion project that might not be profit driven, might not be a business, and you just enjoy your life there. That's like a good life. That's what my parents did. And they're very happy people. They don't get their passion out of work, but they're very passionate in all the other things they do in their life. For me, I just knew I'm going to be spending a lot of my life at work. And if I could be working with my friends on people I really like, who I think are really cool, and attracting clients that I'm inspired by, that are interesting, and just having cool conversations and try to work in a really cool environment that's mine, and especially that has to be mine, this is what I've realized, that brings me the most joy. So that's my path.
And I could imagine part of your marketing plan will have to be like following DJs around the world and sponsoring music festivals and things like that.
Exactly. It's sponsoring fights. I'm really into like my Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu. So we sponsored a few fights. We get some mouth guards in there. Yeah. And that's what, again, like I said at the start, like my friend said, this business is just so you. So this is why I regret not pouring just even more effort into it over the past few years. But that was part of my upskilling and learning my trade really well.
Well, it's one of the most unique e-commerce stories that we've heard on Add to Cart, and we appreciate you sharing it with us. What is the next 12 months? Where are the priorities for you and the Dr. Grillz team over the next 12 months?
So I kind of look at this year as a bit of a hard reset where I just want to scrap everything back and rebuild the customer journey. I remember, I don't know if I saw it on Instagram or I read it somewhere. There was this pillow company in Japan. I think it's been in business for like a couple of 100 years. And then someone gone and their customer, like the sales process is so dialed in where they examine everything, they give you all the different trial versions, and you just end up with the solution that's perfect for you.
I saw it. My wife sent me that clip on Instagram and I was like, I want that.
Yeah, it just blew my mind because I was like, I just want to spend the next 10 years refining that sales process for my clients. So it's so smooth, nothing gets missed. People get to exactly where they want to go. And I think that's really what I want to spend the next 10 years building on, and then using my staff and all the tools that I have. I've got a great team. I got all this obviously technology. This is the best time for any kind of technology for that sales process. We've got CRMs, we've got Go High Level, we've got, Calendly, and it all integrates together. So it's the coolest time and probably the easiest time, and we've got AI to put that together. So that's the dream. And then hopefully once that sales process is really smooth and the revenue is really cranking, then to create like a really nice brick and mortar store that is like all in one, basically. It's got my studio. I can film a podcast in there. If I like to DJ as well. If I want to throw a gig there, I'll DJ in there. Like that's, the dream for me right now is just to spend the time to do that. E-commerce, obviously, guys, can get you so far, but for a service-based business where you're doing work on clients, like you really need somewhere for people to come.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the next step for me.
That's amazing. I think what comes through to me in our conversation is that you are definitely an innovator. You're a systems guy and you've got a vision, and but underpinning all of this is a focus on the customer experience and the trust. Like, I think you could be a very flashy business in terms of Instagram famous and have a lot of shares and have a lot of views, but without a lot of substance. But it's very obvious to me that your customer experience and your trust and your credibility is the most important thing. And it may have even held you back from having some of that virality because you want to do things right. And I think that's a great approach. So you should be very proud of that.
Thank you. I think you nailed it. It has been slower. It's been crazy to watch my competitors blow up, on alongside me. But now I find the work just finds you. Like when you have that reputation, and reputation goes so far, and we don't really focus on building that as much anymore because it's easy to fake, right? On Instagram, you can create your own reputation or your own image however you want. But I'm hitting this point where the word's getting out there. And like, for example, today I had a very quiet day, almost 2 bookings, I think, 2 checkups. And by yesterday, it's fully booked. It's got high-end work. Someone just booked in, 2-3 hours of high-end work. And that's quite amazing. No marketing, no ad spend. And that's awesome. That we forget about that side because we're so driven on, pumping ads. And actually, that's just one of many pathways to build leads and build work.
Yeah, great point. I can't let you leave without asking you for a personal recommendation. If I was to go get Grillz tomorrow as the host of this podcast, and I've been very conscious about my teeth actually while speaking to you. If I was to go get Grillz tomorrow, what would be your recommendation to me based on what you know of me from our chat so far? What would you recommend for me?
First question I need to know is, do you wear more silver or do you wear more gold?
I'm more of a silver guy.
Okay. And would you be going for a more subtle aesthetic or a more, like you want to make a bit more of a statement?
I'm making statements here. We're all out.
Okay, look, I think the most timeless piece, the best one to start with, especially for you, would be just some silver canines, some silver fangs on the bottom. It would be still a bit subtle, still a bit dominant as well. Great place to start. And then you can build off that as well. We can add some more sets and build off that. So I think that's a great place to start.
There we go. All right. Well, you've got me thinking now, and maybe at the next Add to Cart event, I'll be turning up wearing my silver canines.
Yes.
How cool. I love what you're doing, Dr. Maheer Shah. Thank you so much for joining us on Add to Cart. If people want to go and check out what you are doing and perhaps play around with the different Grillz options, what's the best way for them to do that?
So best way to chat with me or find out what I'm doing, Instagram, Dr.Grillz with a Z. That's the easiest way to find me. See what we're up to. You can probably get the most live updates. If you want to make some grills, try some grills, the old builder is custom.drgrills.com, but the new one's going to be coming, I'd say, in the end of next month, and that will be just on drgrills.com. You'll see it's like a 3D builder. There'll be a QR code. Try out some sets, see what you like. Send me some screenshots. And if you're confused, just draw something or send me a picture and then we can chat and we can make something amazing for you.
That's awesome. I expect to be rocking up at all the e-commerce events this year, just with everyone just rocking Grillz.
Oh, that's the dream. That's the dream.
How good. Dr. Maheer Shah, thank you so much for joining us on Add to Cart.
Thanks for having me, Nathan. Great to chat.
I'd never met Dr. Maheer Shah before that, and I was fully expecting this to be a huge Instagram and social play, but everything came back to looking after the wellness and the health of their customers. And I wasn't expecting that. So I love when those conversations take a little bit of a different turn to where we thought they'd go. In fact, he was very open that he hasn't leveraged the social opportunity that is there with Dr. Grillz. I can't wait to watch them over the next 12 to 24 months to see if they crack that as well. But there was plenty in there to take away if you are an e-commerce professional or a founder looking to improve your experience. And I've got 3 lessons that I want you to take away. Number 1, if you have a complicated product or you require your customers to be doing something in the process, take the time to make sure your instructional content is set up correctly in that it's easy to understand and that it's pretty straightforward so that the customers can get in and do it. When Dr. Maheer Shah talked about young kids being able to mold their own teeth to be able to come up with the at-home mold kits, he was blown away by how well they could do that. I've got a feeling that they didn't learn that themselves, that he put a lot of thought, and because he is actually a dentist, knew how to do it and could explain it to others, that's the reason that was so successful. That in itself means that the system works for Dr. Maheer Shah and Dr. Grillz because it reduces errors, reduces support requests, and it increases customer confidence that they're going to get something that fits well. The result is a much smoother process in a really critical area that could blow things apart and cause a lot of costs and a lot of chaos, or really streamline the operation. Now, you might not have something that is as unique as Dr. Grillz in your business, but even if you think about things like fitment guides, where do you need to put the effort in to reduce those returns? Do you need to up your effort with those fitment guides to reduce returns, increase customer confidence, and get more conversions? Those are some critical pain points where you need to put those efforts in to make sure the communication is really clear. The second thing I got out of that was don't be scared of premium pricing. I love there where Maheer talked about that big part of what they do with Dr. Grillz is being able to say, hey, I've got $20,000 worth of jewelry in my mouth. That is actually part of it. And when you think about luxury fashion, that's essentially what the labels are saying. Hey, I can afford this. The pricing is a huge part of the value proposition when buying. However, most of us spend most of our days thinking about how do we actually make things cheaper? How do we reduce the cost? Now, it's not going to be right for everyone, but if you put your focus on identity, status, personal transformation, how can you use those messages to not just justify a price point, but to potentially increase a price point? Long term, that has a huge amplification effect. And number 3, trust can outperform ads as a growth lever, but in the long term. I have no doubt that Dr. Grillz could be a viral Instagram success, and it could take a week to do that. They could do that overnight. However, if they did that, the team probably won't keep up with the demand, customers won't get the same experience, and they won't be serving their overall mission of overall better mouth health. So they've taken that approach of do a soft, steady, and trusted approach to make sure that everyone who comes in has a great experience. Of course, they're going to come up against competitors who pump money into ads with some flashy UGC and some great imagery that will go viral. It's a really great viral category, but will they be able to service them and have the experience that Maheer and the team are looking for long term? I don't think so. So I really like their approach that they have gone for that trust approach, especially with his dentist background. Think about that as you're pumping money into the meta machine. Are you doing it from a position of trust and credibility, or is it actually taking some of that away? That's it for this week. What an amazingly awesome, unique episode. If you want to come in and discuss that episode or perhaps the types of grills that you're going to get for the next conference, come on over to the Add to Cart community and you can join over 600 e-commerce professionals who are sharing every day some of their challenges, some of their questions, and getting the help that they need, all within our free community. You can join that on addtocart.com.au. And of course, if you haven't already, hit subscribe wherever you're listening, Spotify, YouTube, Apple, wherever it is, and we will be bringing you new e-commerce stories. Until next time, thanks again to our sponsors, Shopify and Klaviyo. We'll see you next week on Add to Cart.